at Superbooth on the abstract data booth with Justin. Hi Justin, what have you got today?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of new stuff. This year, 2016, we've got a firmware upgrade coming for the ADE32 Octocontroller. Hopefully out within the next couple of months. That adds a bunch of new features. You've got stop-start, you've got multiple clock resolutions, you've got the ability to mute individual outputs, and these are all features of the new firmware upgrade. We've got a bunch of new prototypes that we're sort of doing sneak previews of. The first is some of the new Boss series modules. So you've got a combination of logic, you've got some sort of maths and probability, and you've got some kind of sort of maths rhythm generation, rhythm manipulation, quite fun, funky modules. We've got analog VCO, which we're still hoping to get out this year. Sine, triangle, sawtooth waveforms with wave shaping built in. Really excited about that one. And probably one of the next releases is going to be the envelope generator, the 1851. 5 stages: attack, hold, decay, sustain, release, and an entire stage control for the whole width of the envelope, and linear exponential controls, very fully featured. And last but not least, we've got the ADE50, which is a triple VCA, nice, discreet, high quality, all analog build. Very pleased with that one.
Yeah, so I've had a chance to check these out. The shaping on the VCO sounded great. The envelope, I won't say what it is, but started to compare to one of my favourite envelopes in terms of the control over both the shape and CV-ins. Can you tell us about what's new in the firmware for the Octocontroller?
Sure. So we've got a bunch of things. The first, I would say, is that the units now respond to start-stop control. So you can see that's stop dead. Under the current Octocontroller firmware, the unit is free running, but you see now I can start that and I can stop it. I basically got this guy slaving to this guy. I can also do multiple clock resolutions. So you see that little LED there is flashing. At the moment, it wants 1 PPQ. Under the new firmware, we'll have a choice of 1, 4, or 24 PPQ. So that will respond to things like your BeatStep Pro, the Electron gear, other stuff like that. Let's just put that back. We've got a nice little feature. This is one of my favorites, actually, is the ability to mute outputs. So double click there and you can see that little blue LED, that's flashing, which means that output is now muted. And then just to unmute it, another click, and there you go.
So he's adding extra functionality and easier syncing with other gear to something that's probably one of my most used modules already. It sounds great. Let's have a bit of a jam on a patch and check out some of the sounds.
A bunch of things going on here. Let's sort of build it up. A percussion line coming in here. Basically, the Octocontroller is running the whole patch. So the Octocontroller is running a couple of other things for rhythm. It's triggering things directly. So, for example, we've got, sorry, I'll kick your mic out your hand there. We've got the kick drum, nice standard 4/4 kick drum. And then we've got a clap coming in. A little bit down tempo because it's still kind of early in the morning. They're nice hi-hats, and this is all coming off the Octocontroller. And then this rhythm, this percussion rhythm, I've got 2 things. One is I'm doing some probability. It's basically just getting 16ths. But you can hear I'm cutting one of the notes out, and that's just done with a very simple little CV control. And that just gives us a nice kind of rhythmic flow. I'm also modulating, again, with a little Octocontroller patch, I'm modulating the cutoff on the filter. And again, it just takes something really simple and really rhythmic, but gives it a nice little kind of flow to it. And then building up from there, I think we've got some sort of kind of little bass line here, which should probably be these 2 guys. So you've got 2 bass line. Again, it's very simple. You've got 2 oscillators into your filter. Envelope generator.
So what you've been building is a sort of control hub, some new modules that, you know, as if you're not getting enough already, but to work on events and probability and programming these outs you can get from an Octocontroller, and then all the sort of rest of the system around it. It seems like you've got this impressive control hub, and then you're starting to work in some more sound modules.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. There's two priorities, I think, for abstract data. One is to have a complete signal path, so oscillator, filter, envelope generator, VCA, and hopefully we'll have that throughout this year. But the other thing, the Octocontroller, I mean, like the name says, it's a great control unit. But with the BOSS modules, I wanted some things that sort of played along with it. So throw things at you that are rhythmic, but not things that you've specifically programmed in. I really like being able to jam with my modular and modules like these. Modules like the Octocontroller, I tell it what to do and it does it day in, day out. These guys, you can throw things at it and it will throw back interesting patterns and rhythms and musicality with you.
That sounds great. Thanks a lot, Justin.
Thanks, Ben.